Hi, we're going to cover Chapter 2 today from the Basic Guide to Exporting from the U.S. Commercial Service. First thing we're going to talk about is dual-use products. So dual-use products are products that have both a commercial application and a either military or nuclear application. So if you have a product that can be used for a purpose that just is normal manufacturing of some kind or something like that, but it also can be used in a military application, or it also could be used in some kind of nuclear application, that is called a dual-use product. And those are licensed because by the BIS, which is the Bureau of Industry and Security, part of the U.S. Department of Commerce. They're licensed because we want to make sure that we know as a government where those products are going. Are you exporting that to another country so that they can assemble it into something that is going to be used in a military or nuclear way, or are you just sending it to them and they're going to manufacture it for into something else? They want to make sure that they know about that. These are also regulated under the EAR. People call it the EAR, the Export Administration Regulation, and that's available on the BIS website, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute on another slide. So part of your export compliance plan should be, if you have a small number of products, a small number of countries, you need a compliance officer. If you have a large number of products or a large number of countries, you probably need a team of people. But the thing that you can do to make that compliance officer or compliance team's job as easy as possible is making sure that you have a system that allows you to classify things. So if you say, my product is not allowed legally to be shipped to China, for example, you would want your system to flag if they see an order to print a packing slip for something with a China address and that part number. You'd want it to say, hey, stop, this is not allowed. You want to make sure you are responsible to know the countries that you cannot ship to. So that is referred to as an embargo. So an embargo means basically a stop. You're not allowed to ship to that country. It is important to know that you are responsible for knowing what those embargoed countries that you cannot sell your product to are. It is not an excuse to say, I didn't know. It is your responsibility as someone exporting out of the United States to know. You need to keep all records so you have information for audits. And you want to make sure that you have that destination control statement that is listed on the BIS saying that you sell your product to an international customer, they cannot sell it to a country where it is not allowed. So one of the ways that we control this is an ECCN. That's an Export Control Classification Number. And ECCNs might be like ABC12 or something like that. It's going to be an alphanumeric 5-digit number. And what they do is they show what it is and what the technical specifics of the product are so that we know, is this something that can be sent to a certain country or not? Anything that is not on that list, if you're filling out paperwork and it asks you for an EAR, you use EAR 99. And I just wanted to let you know that the reason that that is blue is that that is on your exam. So make sure you know that EAR 99 is the code that you use if you do not find your product on the EAR regulation. So there are a lot of products that are exported that can be used for military reason. And so we certainly do not want, as a country, nor would any country want, someone that could potentially be an adversary or a enemy of our country to be using our own military technology against us. And so this is the information about how that is regulated. The International Traffic in Arms Regulation, people call it the ITAR, is the governing regulation that talks about what you can ship and where. Violation of this is a very serious, it's a federal crime, and you definitely don't want to be in a situation where this would be happening to you. You want to be very responsible about anything that you're exporting that could have military application. I pulled this chart for you from the book, but this is just showing you what the programs are and how to know what regulation is responsible for governing what and how to get more information in that far right column about resources if you need more information. So sanctions is an interesting word in the English language. Sanction can mean approve in the English language, but it can also mean deny or penalize. So if I say I sanction you working together in groups to study for your exam, that means I approve it. If I say I have issued trade sanctions against Cuba, that means we are not allowed to ship certain things to Cuba, and it's penalized if you do it. It's against the law. So Sanctions can be imposed for a variety of reasons, as it says here in the third bullet, mostly based on foreign policy. So we may say we don't like the way XYZ country is treating women, treating children, aggressing into another country, and we don't like that, and we are going to one of the first diplomatic ways that we can deal with that is to say we are going to stop shipping certain products to your country. If we're one of the main sources that country gets that product from, and we stop selling it to them, it can really hurt their economy. And so that's one of the ways that we get other countries to comply. And it's not just the United States. Lots of times this is a group of countries that would do this together to say we don't like the way that you have attacked another country. And so until you pull out of that country militarily, we are going to stop selling you grain. Well, then people may begin to go hungry, and the people may say, hey, you've got to stop doing this. We need food. And it's just a way that governments can get other governments influenced to do things that they want them to do without having to have war or conflict. And again, the exporter is responsible for compliance here. It is not an excuse to say, I didn't know. So if you're going to compete in another country, you want to look at how your product is going to be positioned there and whether or not the Made in the United States of America brand is important there. You can get help from the GEE about ways that you can export. There's lots of help from the U.S. Commercial Service as well. One of the things that people generally associate with the United States is excellent customer service. And so that can be really a big differentiator to say that maybe your product isn't that different from the other competitors in the country, but if you service it better, that can sometimes make you stand apart. And then you want to make sure that you understand free trade agreements that might allow you to ship products without having to pay a tariff. You also want to make sure you understand about currency fluctuation. So if you've ever traveled outside the US, you know that sometimes the dollar is worth a certain amount over against the other currency, and sometimes it's worth less, sometimes it's worth more. So let's say you go to Europe, you might say $1 is equal to 1.25 euro, or you might say it's worth 0.75 euro. Well, those are very different. And so it's going to affect how your product is priced. It's going to affect how much money you make. So lots of things, you want to make sure you understand that. Some of the advantages of the Made in the United States of America brand are most of the time people in other countries consider the United States to be relatively late technology, cutting edge technology, innovative, safe, good brand, a reputation for being ethical and honest. You're not going to generally find people that think I bought something from a company in the United States and they won't stand behind it. It broke, or I needed a replacement or something like that and I was unable to get that. So generally those things do make a product from the United States stand out in another market. That's the end of chapter 2. I'm going to make a separate recording for you for chapter 3 so that they're a little shorter. And please make sure that you do study this. There is some things on here on your exam.